Hey Sunrise, it's Andrew here with your small group questions for this week as we dive into Romans 12, verse 2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. This is where we'll be spending some time. So take some time reading this verse, going back into verse 1, going forward into 3 through the rest of the chapter, and really begin to appreciate what Paul's saying here. So as we spend some time preparing to come to worship, questions coming to mind. First thing is, why does Paul give this admonition? So coming out of verse 1, why is his immediate admonition, do not be conformed to this world? How does that idea connect with being a living sacrifice and a reasonable / spiritual worship? How do those two things go together? Also, it presents the idea, what does Paul mean by the word world? What does the world mean? So this is a slightly different Greek term. The Greek term being used here actually means age. So he'll also use it in 2 Timothy when he talks about Demas, who has left him because of the world, this present world, this present age. So kind of looking at some of those ideas of what does the word world mean and how does that affect the way we interpret this text? And also as we dive into this, apply it to our lives. So continuing through this also, why is it important for us not to be conformed to this world, but be transformed? So not only is he giving us a thing to not do, but he's also then giving us a thing to do. Why is it important to see a rejection connected with an action? So not just not do something, but do something. Why is it important to see that? And also as we continue to see this, why is this transformation important for our spiritual lives? It's not just enough to repent, but there is this idea of living, that there is an action taking place. So as we think about these things, we look at renewing our minds. What does it mean to renew our minds? So I want to ask you some questions just to really spend some time applying this text. We move deep into application. So in your own life, what are things about the world that you need to not be conformed to? What are your own temptations in the world that draw you in, that you are lured into, that you need to not be conformed to? And then in that, how do we then renew our minds? What are some of the steps that we take to be in the process of having our minds renewed? What are some things that you currently do that reorient your minds away from the world and towards the gospel and living it out? What are some things you could do? And as a small group, as we come together, what are things that we can do for one another to help us in our journey of being transformed by the renewing of our minds? So just a couple things, a few questions to ponder as we dive into Romans 12:2 beginning this Sunday. Hope that you'll spend some time in the Word and in fellowship together with our small groups, diving into these truths that we can continue to grow together in our love of the Lord and living out the faith well. Can't wait to worship you guys on Sunday as we dive into this text more. See you.